Hey guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. So today I want to talk about dropping your calories too quickly. So a question I get a lot is, should I drop my calories or should I up my energy expenditure when trying to lose body fat? So like a lot of these questions, it's going to depend on the individual, but I just want to give you a bit of an overview of what I do with my clients and what I actually prefer. So as we know, when it comes to losing body fat, we need to create that calorie deficit. I say this in most of my videos, but it's so important to be aware of this. Now, when it comes to my clients, most of the guys are trying to lose body fat, trying to retain muscle. So what we want to focus on is keeping our strength as high as possible so we can retain that muscle. If you drop your calories too low too quick, your energy and your performance is going to drop. What that means is that if your strength starts to drop, there's no need for that muscle to be there. So my preference when it comes to dropping calories is I only drop my calorie intake for my clients and for myself personally when I really need to. What I prefer to do is use cardio, movement to be the main thing to get us into that calorie deficit. The problem when we cut our calories too low is that, one, our body can adapt. Two, our training performance drops. And three, which I'll talk about in a little bit, is our mindset and our food behavior around food. What a lot of us focus on is what types of food should be eating. And the problem is we get caught up in looking at food as the main thing when it comes to losing body fat. Now, nutrition, food quality is very important. You know, this is why a lot of us are gaining weight, overeating is because of our food. But we have to look at energy as well that we're expending. We have to look at cardio. We have to look at movement. And sometimes if we are just focusing on food and we're not focusing on our cardio, our movement, then by default, if we want to lose weight, we're going to always need to drop the calories. So I always prefer to add more cardio. Now, of course, this is going to depend on your schedule, your preference. And again, I'll talk about that later on. But if you was to start at, say, 2,000 calories and you was dropping weight and then all of a sudden it stopped, it plateaued, you might think, I need to drop the food. But why not just do a bit more activity? Do a bit more cardio, add 10 minutes onto the end of your session. Do an extra 2,000-3,000 steps in a day if you can. Be a bit more mindful of when you're walking around the house. Use the stairs instead of the lift. Just focus on just trying to be a bit more active with yourself. That way you get to have more food, but you're not really using too much energy up, because I'm not saying you've got to go do an hour of cardio extra a day. It's just that small amount of activity that you do, which is then going to create that deficit. If we focus on the bigger picture rather than food, lower food, then we can still get the results without starving ourselves, without feeling really hungry, and our training performance and an energy drops. Because you will see a lot of people dropping their calories down to 1,500, even lower if you're a woman. But I've never dropped my calories, or for my clients, lower than 1,700. And 1,700 is the lowest I've ever dropped for a guy, and he was around 140 pounds. So that's pretty low in body weight. Because I don't think there's no need for it. I'd rather you do more cardio, more activity, more steps, a little bit more training volume to get that body fat off. Now, like I said earlier, one of the big reasons why we don't want to focus too much on dropping our calories is because it's going to create a negative behavior around food. With the world that we live in now, a lot of people get too obsessed with our nutrition, and this can cause issues psychologically. You know, we're always looking at the weight, always looking at the scales, and we just get caught up in restriction. But there really is no need for it. Yes, okay, if you're in a position where you're doing a lot of cardio, you can't do any more, you're going to have to drop the food. But don't do it too quick, and don't keep dropping it. If you get to a point where you are consuming 1,500 calories, you've done it wrong. Honestly, you didn't have to drop it that low. Again, I'm talking to mainly men here, but if you're a woman listening to this, then this will depend on your starting position, your body weight, and the amount of activity you're doing. But always focus on, you know, doing as much activity as you can, not off the bat, not straight away, but I would prefer you to do more activity, more movement, than dropping the calories too low. Okay. Again, this is always going to come down to an individual, because if you're someone that, you know, doesn't like to do a lot of cardio, then you might be okay with dropping the calories a little bit. But again, if we're looking at the bigger picture here, most of us want to keep our muscle. Most of us want to have energy. We don't want to be starving. We want to be strong. So the amount of food that you eat is vital. And if that drops, you're going to struggle. You'll hear a lot of people talk about, you know, when you're trying to achieve this six-pack, your energy will drop, your libido drops, and you don't feel good. But that is not the case for everyone. That might be the case for people that have been dieting for a long time. They've restricted their calories too much. Most of my guys that get six-packs are not struggling at the end. They're not absolutely starving. Unless they're getting absolutely peeled and shredded, if you're just trying to achieve a six-pack, you can do it in a way where you're still thriving with energy, you're not starving hungry, and your training performance is good. But you've got to do it the right way. And honestly, I think if you was to keep the calories as high as possible while upping your energy, then that is going to be the best way, personally, I think, with my clients and myself, to do it. So a take-home point here is, don't keep dropping your calories too quick. If you don't see the weight, if you don't see the scale move, don't just rush in and chop your calories down and reduce your food. Have a look at your overall energy expenditure, your cardio, your steps, your training volume. If you're not doing enough, that's the first place to look. Okay, hope that was helpful. Make sure you give this a like if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. A lot of people that watch this don't actually subscribe, and obviously it helps build my channel if you do. So stay tuned for the next video. See you soon.